I think there's a reason that Bali is considered to be one of the best like digital nomad hubs in the world, because since being here, you almost can't help but be inspired. It makes you want to create, and I feel like the biggest noob.
Hi guys, and welcome back to this week's episode of, that'll do.
Bi-monthly, so
Bi-monthly.
It's for this week's. Today we've got a really fun, vibrant guest, Brooke Volenvich. She's got a hard last name to say.
Yes.
We had to practice that one a while. But Brooke is living in Bali at the moment with her husband and young son, running her online business where she teaches people how to use Instagram for their own businesses. So that's an online business that she's running while she's living here. And she's going to talk us through what made her move to Bali for a while, what it's like to live here with a young child, and all the ups and downs of Bali life.
A very fun chat. Hi Brooke.
Hi.
And welcome. Thank you for coming on the Bali
Sama-sama.
Insiders podcast.
Yes. Am I local?
Yeah, totally. So thank you so much for coming in today. Now we're going to start with our Fast Five. You ready?
I'm ready. Hit
You're
me.
ready. When did you first visit Bali?
1990, I was 4.
What's your favourite
She's
area of
fast.
Bali?
Canggu.
What's your favourite restaurant in Bali?
Mason.
What's your favourite local food?
Soto ayam.
What did you love most? What do you love most about Bali?
The people. The locals.
The fastest fast five.
That is
we've
the
ever done.
fastest Fast
I was
Five
timing
ever.
myself.
Yes.
You
5
definitely-
seconds or less, fast 5.
I couldn't even say them quick enough
I know,
to
I
keep
know,
up.
yes.
I was like,
I was like, come on, next question.
I love
Let's
it. I love a guest who's done that.
I've done this before.
I know.
So now let's get into the nitty gritty, Brooke. Tell us about first, because it's when we're going to talk about your life here in Bali, a lot of it is to do with your business and how it's allowed you to be here. So tell us first, what is your business and what it is you do?
So my business is called Social Club. It is an online platform where other businesses learn how to build and grow a business using Instagram. And I started that based on how I built and grew 2 businesses on Instagram. And this was before people were teaching social media, before people were teaching Instagram. I just saw it as a free way to let the world know I existed and sell my stuff, basically. And then had other businesses approach me and say, can you show me how to do that? And 7 years later, here I am.
And so now you've got the Social Club, and people, is it like a subscription-based
Yes.
business?
Yeah. So it's a membership. There's lots of arms to it because we do events and we do a series of other things. But the core of my business is the membership, which is a weekly lesson and video tutorial of something your business can do on Instagram that week to grow and sell. And that just continues, kind of like a gym membership.
Yep.
Yeah, wow.
So you can do it completely online and
Completely online. You can join whenever you like. You can start whenever you like. You can even cancel if you want to and take a break and then come back. Everyone that's in the Social Club globally. So we just cracked our 3,500th member.
Wow.
I know,
Amazing.
it's nuts.
Congrats.
I can't even believe it. Thank you so much. In 36 countries. So everyone does the same activity every week. It's not like you join and you start and there's people that are way far ahead than you and way further behind. Everyone's doing it together because community for me is really important in business, because I think in business a lot of the time you do feel really lonely and you do feel really behind. So I thought, how's a way that we can bring everyone together to feel like they're all on the same page versus feel like some people are in front of them, and stop that like comparisonitis that stops people from showing up.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working.
And you have all different types of businesses on that platform.
Every business you could imagine. Basically, if you have a problem that you solve and your customers are on Instagram, we can show you how to sell to them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Love
Awesome.
it.
Thank you.
Love that.
And so you've got an online business, amazing, building that up. So how did you end up and why did you end up in Bali?
Oh, it's a funny story, actually.
I don't believe you.
It never the intention to end up in Bali. But in 2020, just before COVID hit, my husband and I decided to build our dream home in Perth. It's still being built 3 years later. And before you ask, it's not a castle. It's a very average family home. COVID delays, issues with our builder has just meant it's just not quite worked out the way that we thought. Then we had a child. And we were living in a very tiny apartment in Perth, and life was just hard. My husband was working. He had his own business, so he was working every day. I was trying to run the business from home with my child, and life just got harder and harder and harder. And I'm not complaining, but you start a business for freedom and flexibility, and we had no freedom and no flexibility. And every day,
no home.
And no home,
Yeah.
yes. And every day I just couldn't help but feel like this isn't what I want from my life. And I feel like I've worked too hard to be here. And my husband's family have properties in Croatia, and we almost made this joke that if our house wasn't ready, we should just pack up everything and go and move to Croatia. And then one morning my husband said, "We're booked." And I was like, "We're booked for what? For dinner?" And he doesn't book dinner, so even that was quite a surprise. That was a surprise. He goes, "Nah, I booked our flights to Croatia. We're booked. We leave on, I think it was like the 15th of May or something." And I just laughed and was like, what, huh? And yeah, we booked and we packed up all of our stuff in Perth. We sold our cars. He shut down his business. He actually started working for my business. And this was in June last year. And we moved to Croatia, but we could only stay for 3 months because of our visas. And I think a part of us sort of hoped our house might have been finished by then. It was not. It's still not. And so we thought, well, we need somewhere else to live. And Bali was the next best option, really. It's close to home. It's warm. We know people here.
Yeah.
They speak
Same
the language.
time zone for you.
Same time zone in WA. Quick and fast and easy and cheap for me to get back to WA. And it just made sense.
Yeah.
And it offers all those things that you were missing.
The childcare.
Yeah.
And the help. The help
to be
here
able to
as
run
a
a business.
parent, to be able to run a business from home is just incredible. We don't have anything like that. Well, that's not true. Obviously, we have childcare and we have help and nannies and whatsoever in Australia. It costs
a lot more money.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're still on the wait list for daycare in Australia from when Carlo was 6 months old.
Yeah.
And he's almost 2.
Yeah.
So for us to do this style of life in Perth, we can't really afford it.
Yeah.
Really, because, we are paying a mortgage on a build and a piece of land that we can't live in and we can't rent out. Plus we have to pay rent. Plus we would have to pay childcare. Plus we would have to pay nanny. Plus my husband would never really see my son because he would be working full time. And that was life. Life there it didn't make me feel like I'd done a good job every day. Every day was a struggle and every day was hard. And I would get nervous going to bed just thinking like, oh my God, like, is he going to sleep during the night? Am I going to be able to sleep? What time is he going to wake up in the morning? Because then is he going to nap at the right time? My business now is too big to run, for me to only work, maybe half an hour a day, if that's all I could fit in.
Yeah.
And then I just feel like I'm doing a shit job for my team, for my client. It just felt shit. Am I allowed to swear?
It's
sorry.
fine.
It didn't feel good. And life in Bali feels good.
Yeah.
And this is what we've worked hard for.
Yes.
And what about hubby working for the business now? How is that thing?
Do you know what? And this is so funny because if you knew my husband, he is a tradie. He can barely respond to a text message. So the fact that he is now working for
helping run a
digital company is hilarious. But he's so good. And he has honestly blown my mind. And I don't know if it's like subconscious learning from listening to me run my business for the past 7 years, or he just really understands business, but he's amazing. it's amazing, and it's been so helpful. And just even to have that support of some, like, I've got an incredible team and I love them and I couldn't do what I did without them. But a husband's support is different. And even just that masculine energy in the business, which I didn't realize was really actually quite necessary. Again, just someone to come in and see things in black and white and say things in black and white and not have all the emotion around it. You kind of
Straight out.
Yeah. And there's definitely women that can fill that role, but to have someone that you also really trust, has been awesome. It's been cool.
And so how long have you been in Bali now since Croatia?
So we came in October last year. Yeah. We came in October, and then I've had to go back to Australia for work quite a bit. We went to New Zealand for Christmas with his family, and then we got stuck in New Zealand because of the flooding. We were meant to go for summer, and then it was a national emergency. We didn't leave the house for like a month, so that wasn't ideal, but it's okay. Then we came back here. The sun came out, except for today.
Very rainy today.
Except for today. And it's been good. And we go to Croatia again on the 15th of May, and then we'll either come back to Bali later this year or early next year. We're still kind of figuring that out. But we want to make Bali home.
So Bali is the long term.
Bali is the long term. Being from Perth and coming here so much as a child, to be completely honest, Bali has always felt like a second home to me. I got so many amazing memories with my parents here, and just as a kid, there's so many things I remember about growing up in Bali. Almost more than Perth, I guess, because we were on holiday, and
they're the bigger memories.
But I've always felt really connected to Bali and really safe here and really at home here, and I like it.
And how special to bring Carlo here and create those memories with him. And we always say it's the most special place to bring up little people.
It is.
They get so much culture. They get so many experiences.
So much attention.
So much
and
attention.
The Balinese, I think it's also, the Western world has changed a lot. And it's quite interesting for me as well, because my father came to Australia from Yugoslavia during the war to set up a better life for his family. And it almost makes me feel a bit shit that now I'm leaving that, because Australia is really fucking expensive and really hard now. It's actually not the easiest, best place to be. And it's also a really negative place to be a lot of the time, with a lot of what has happened in the world. And I'm not sure I want to raise children with that messaging constantly. I love that in Bali, the culture and the values here are still about family and tradition and things that should be important that I do feel like the Western world has lost its way on.
In the busyness of
being
busy.
And a lot of, I think, mums that we've interviewed on the podcast have said that, like the presence of culture and all of those really important things in day-to-day life on the island is something that's really special and that you can see every day. And so exposing your kids to that is so cool.
It's just the little things, in Australia, you might wake up and you put the sunrise or whatever the news channel is on, and it's just that negative, toxic messaging constantly. And I don't remember the last time I watched the news here.
I must admit that's something that really gets to me when I go back to Australia, and if the TV's on and I'm constantly hearing that news, because we don't turn any of it on.
It's not like
you've got to find it, you've got to source it, you've got to want to find things.
And it's like you said too, as a mother, I've got a little baby, and I'm aware of he can't communicate so much yet, but he can listen and he can hear everything going on around him. And I want him to be raised in a positive environment. And sometimes in Australia, with all the external sources, that can be hard. Whereas here, life is just, it's different. And I think that to me as a mother has become really important. To go back 2 years ago, and I probably wouldn't have answered this question the same way.
Absolutely.
But, it sounds
Changes
cliche,
things.
being a mother changes things, for sure.
Just a little bit.
And so your work here in Bali, I thought it was so great you brought your assistant over for a while. Taylor, your young assistant, such a great experience for her to be able to be in Perth and be in Bali and still be working for you. Yeah. But we also know you've done some other things like recording right here in Lighthouse Studios. So how has it been like accessing things like the studios and even the Wi-Fi connection? Yeah. Like, how have you found it?
The best. And that's what I get asked about all the time. Oh, what's the internet like? Yeah. And I think like...
Is there internet in Bali?
Is there? I didn't know that. I think people forget, or maybe they have this perception of how Bali was, when we used to come here as kids. Yeah. It's better here now, really, than Australia, I think, and cheaper.
Yeah, like the internet is super cheap, right?
Just everything. Like when we got here last time, I remember saying to my husband, it would be really cool if I could go somewhere, and I have this idea of a new service that I want to create under Social Club, but I would need to be able to film this and do this, and then it needs to be edited and blah, 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 blah. And then one day Dom said to me, I'm going to take you somewhere on a date as a surprise. I thought we were going out for dinner, so I got excited. And he brought me here to Lighthouse.
Oh, because he had found it.
Because he found it. Yeah. And not only did it have the studio and the recording and the Wi-Fi and the this and that, but it had a fucking bar. Which was awesome.
That's what we say too. Best spicy margarita on the
island. Could you get any better than this? So I was like, oh my God, like just total shiny thing syndrome. Just thought it was the best. And then to actually come in and use the space to record for my business and see the production quality and just the professionalism of the whole setup. Like, if you were to do this in Australia, what would it cost you? 5 grand, 10 grand?
Yeah,
maybe
that's
more.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
It's phenomenal. And literally, this is 2 streets away from our home. I could be here every day if I wanted to. Yeah. That is cool. Yeah. And the gnocchi's good too. Yes. And I grew up making gnocchi, so I'm a very good judge of gnocchi.
Gnocchi snob.
Yeah, I'm a gnocchi snob.
That's some of the messaging we've tried to tell people about spaces like this is even if you're in Australia or especially Australia because it's so close or anywhere, and you're so close, if you do have video work to do, it's almost better to come here, have a holiday as a tax deduction, to film your
whatever
masterclass, podcast, training videos. Yeah. And you can come to somewhere like here and film it way cheaper, have a holiday.
And it's a beautiful place. Yeah. This is a cool place to work every day. Really.
Well, and so we always say like really inspiring because there's so many people here doing really cool stuff and creating really cool content. Yeah. And so you're always around people doing good things.
Yeah. Which is one of the questions we actually had for you about coming over here. And so you're working on your own business, but what kinds of other people, locals and expats in business have you met since being here doing different things?
Oh my God. I think there's a reason that Bali is considered to be one of the best like digital nomad hubs in the world, because since being here, you almost can't help but be inspired. It makes you want to create. And I feel like the biggest noob, really, to be honest, because I spoke at an event last weekend or the weekend before, and it was all YouTube creators. Now, these are people, there was actually one guy at the event that literally hit 1 million followers while we were on stage speaking, or subscribe, whatever you call it on YouTube. This is why I say noob. But there's people doing cool stuff now as well. Like, I started doing this 7 years ago, 8 years ago almost, when no one was really doing it. And a question that I get asked all the time is like, oh, it's too late for me. It's too late for me to use social media, or what's the point with me on Instagram? But then you meet these guys that are like 6, 12, maybe even a year and a half with these huge followings. And there was one guy, and it's his job to literally, like, he eats testicles from different animals or something, and he's got almost a million.
We might have to interview him.
Subscribers.
Yeah, he lives here.
He lives here in Bali. He was very nice, to be fair. And then another guy that's all about like tasting and trying different Balinese food, and he's the same. He's got 1 million subscribers.
We should interview him.
Yeah, actually, they're doing. I think they're friends, so we could have them together. Yeah, but doing just really unusual, out of the box things that I used to think and get told what I was doing was unusual and out of the box, and it made me feel not out of place in a bad way, but here I feel home.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm surrounded by people doing and creating and doing things that seem abnormal in Australia, but here are just
everyone's doing
cool different stuff, and that's a nice, like, as a human being, everyone just wants to belong. And I feel like I belong here, which is a nice way to feel.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's really easy to find people to collaborate with.
Totally.
Totally.
People want to help. They want to chat. They want to have conversations. And that's another thing. In it back home, there's a lot of competition. I don't know what it's like sort of over east, but in Perth, the small business community in Perth obviously helped me get here today. But there's like anything, there's ups and downs, and there's clashes, and there's people who don't get along, and the more time you spend somewhere, the smaller it gets, and I guess the cracks begin to show. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure Bali is the same, but it's nice to feel new somewhere again, and not know about all the cracks.
Not know the cracks.
Sure, I will learn them over time and see them. But it's nice to just come in as a newbie.
Bali Insiders podcast is proudly sponsored by Lighthouse Studios right here in Bali.
This space has been specifically designed for entrepreneurs, podcasters, coaches, and educators of all kinds. You can record podcasts just like ours, as well as masterclasses, social media content, and so much more.
They have awesome customizable studios to choose from, and most importantly, they take care of absolutely everything. The cameras, the microphones, the lights, even if you wish, the editing. They make it so easy.
And as well as the studios, they have a co-working cafe and some of the best food and coffee on the island of Bali. We highly recommend that you come in for a tour and have a chat about how you can create your own epic video and audio content.
You can visit them on Instagram at Lighthouse Studios Bali, or jump on their website, wearelight.house. I do find overall, though, it's much more collaborative.
For sure.
Atmosphere when it comes to business in Bali.
Very supportive, collaborative.
People have always got time to have coffee and listen to your idea, whereas
they want to help.
Traditionally, you might see people as competition, and I remember that feeling in Australia, like, oh, we're competitors. But whereas here, even your competitors are often your friends. Often your friends here. It's just, I think a different vibe.
Even in like my industry, like we do get-togethers now with all of the wedding planners. Like we're all competition, and we all catch up like at the start and the end of the season to kind of just come together and go, oh my gosh, what just happened? But it's so nice because most people like will think that they're shopping around and they're playing us off each other, and there's all this, and we're just like, hey, did you get a call from this person? Did you get a call from this one? Probably stay away. Abort mission.
No, I do agree that it is a very collaborative vibe here when it comes to business, and I think that also comes from, because especially when you're mixing with, I guess, the foreigners who are here and the expats, is there's not really a lot of foreigners who are working a corporate job like there would be when you're in Australia. So nearly everyone that you meet in the expat world here is in some kind of business.
Doing their own thing.
So you're kind of not surrounded, you've just got a different group of people around you.
And you're surrounded by people that are doing something unique and doing something different. Like you said, they're not doing the 9-to-5 life. And I've found that if you want something different for your life, then you have to go out and take the risk, and you have to do the thing that unfortunately a lot of people will put down because it's something they would never do before. And you do get in your head quite often and think, have I made the right, especially as a mother, have I made the right decision? Is this the right choice for my family? Yada, yada, yada. And it just takes chatting to other people doing the same thing that makes you feel like, oh, okay. This is the right decision. You know?
I remember going through that when we moved over, and especially when we said we were taking our kids out of regular school and putting them in online school. This was before COVID, that anyone had even considered, anyone in our circles had considered online school, and people are like, they won't have any friends. They won't, we had all the things.
questions.
And I was like,
well, we're getting it already, and Carla's only 2. It's the first thing everyone says. What about school?
Where's he going to go to school?
I'm like, well, we don't have to worry about that today.
Yeah. We'll figure that out.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
It's all right. He's going to go.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Even just the idea of like building or having property here and people are like, oh, that's so risky. I'm like, look at the fucking shit show we're in Australia.
That's right, exactly.
That was meant to be the good,
that was meant to be the good
version. Literally. So
3 years later, we have no house but a mortgage.
Totally. I feel like COVID has just completely ruffled the feathers of what's normal.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a long time for most people to adjust, but COVID changed things for the better and for the worse. But it's just why also I personally had something horrible happen. My sister was really sick and she actually passed away during COVID. And that I think had a bigger impact on me than I realized at the time, because I was like, let's go live our lives.
Yeah.
Why stay here, be fighting this builder, be fighting this what felt like totally a really toxic situation with everything with our house. Why focus on that? What you focus on grows.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get as far away from that. Well, 3 hours away.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels further.
Yeah. From that as possible, and focus on something new, and hopefully the new thing will grow.
Yeah.
And let's be a family.
Yeah.
Like ultimately quality time in your relationships, when you're lying on your deathbed, and I've seen it, that's all that fucking matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually matter what car you drive or what house you have or what bag you have or what shoes. None of that bullshit that I think you get so caught up in thinking are important. And there's nothing wrong with it either.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that stuff really doesn't matter. And I want as much quality time with my family and with my kids while they're young as possible.
Yeah.
And Bali allows us to have that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I completely agree with that. That's definitely how we felt too, that the kids were growing so quickly.
Yeah.
It's like we were in the merry-go-round of like, get up, make lunches, go to school, come back, go to gymnastics, go to the birthday party, go to clean the house. Sundays we've got to meal prep.
For the sake of the rush.
Yeah.
Why rush through life? Life ends really quickly, and anything that happens in life, if it's not to do with your health, it's just something you can tick off a to-do list.
Yeah.
As soon as you get sick, like there's the day before you get sick, and there's the day after you get sick, and the day after you get sick.
Yeah, everything
all
changes.
You want is to go back to the day before.
Yeah.
Like when I was in the hospital ward, you look at the people that are in this ward, and they would give anything to take 10 minutes of your worst day just to be healthy.
Yeah.
And it really changes your perspective on life and what's important, and it changed a lot for me.
Yeah. And probably gave you more of the courage to
totally
make the change.
Well, you realise you're like, life is short.
Life
is
short.
important.
Yeah.
And what's the point?
What's the point of all the fluff?
Yeah.
Because it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Though I've had the conversation with a lot of people, like, do you have to have the fluff first to realise that? And I guess we have the fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You've got to go through some of those experiences to get to the point of going, this is the perspective I need to be able to do it, and I'm courageous enough to do it. And for sure.
Packing up and moving countries is a big decision, and it's a big
deal.
Yeah.
It almost took us a full year to do it, because we were kind of going back and going forward and going back and going forward, and we still had our cars, and we still had some furniture, and we still had this, and we still had that, and it wasn't until the last trip that we were like, all right,
it's all going.
It's all gone now.
Yeah.
We're actually here.
Yeah. Even just being comfortable saying, everywhere you go here, people say, oh, where are you from? How long are you on holiday for? Saying like, I gotta live here now.
Yeah.
Because I don't live in Australia. Well, I don't have a home in Australia. I got half a home.
Yeah.
I've got a
slab.
Got a slab and a bit of land.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to get your head around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about like when you first got here? So like how was that for you guys? Because it, just talked about the transition of moving over. Obviously you did it in little baby steps, but it does take some time to adjust to this new way of life. Did you kind of settle straight in or
what were the shocking and challenging things?
Yeah.
Because there is that too. It's not just...
It's not like you just come in and live in the luxury villa and drink pina coladas and lie on the beach all day.
You're not just on holiday like everyone thinks. Look, I think running a business from anywhere in the world... You actually can't just run a business from anywhere in the world. It's illegal and you will get deported. So all the visas, learning all about that, learning like actually what you can do and what's right in a country where things don't work like they do in Australia.
It's not black and white.
It's not as black and white. There's a lot of grey area here.
So much grey.
So much grey. And when you want to do the right thing, but it's hard to even figure out what the right thing is.
Yeah.
That's quite difficult.
Yes.
That's quite difficult. So that, the living situation here, my husband and I always make this joke, like, why can't we just sort out a home? There's a lot of catfishing with the villas.
Yeah.
So that was something, our first villa, when we first got here, we were like, when were these photos taken?
Yes.
You don't look like this anymore. So not this trip, the last trip, that was something we had to navigate. And just getting into and being, like we were talking about this before we started recording, being disciplined enough to force yourself into a routine so that you can stay on top of your work and stay on top of, like for me, exercise is really important. Eating well is really important. But when you're in another country, just finding where to eat and finding the good spots and navigating, just learning a new space over and over and over and over. Like when we first came here as well, we didn't know where we wanted to stay permanently. So we were in Seminyak first, we did a month there, then we were in Ahmed, which is right over on the east of the island, which is beautiful.
Amazing.
That felt like we were on a tropical holiday.
Yeah.
But also you're in Ahmed.
Yeah.
So
you don't have access to places like this. You don't have the big hospitals right near you. You don't have...
Totally. It feels like old Bali. Yeah. It feels like Bali that I used to come to as a kid, but it doesn't have those modern luxuries.
The infrastructure is not there.
Absolutely. And then we moved to Canggu, and purely because the daycare that we found for my son was there. And so we're like, look, as you do as a mum, everything just tends to revolve around your child. To get him to daycare quickly and easily every day, it's the best place for us to be.
Yeah.
And I know there's daycares everywhere, but
that's the one that felt right
for us.
you.
Yeah. We love the people in that daycare. They love Carlo, and it's just become almost like a second home for him there. So, I guess
so the hard things have been
challenges.
Visas,
and house. Accommodation, but I think that's an us thing. So
I think
no
it's
matter where.
I think it's a now thing though too. In
maybe a little bit.
50% just the Valinoviches, 50% the actual location.
Yes,
or the timing. The
housing thing is massive.
Yeah, it never used to be as hard as it is now. But like you said, COVID changed things, and lots of people, when they realized they could work online, started moving. So Bali's had a massive influx of people coming here for longer term stays, which then has caused a massive shortage.
It's demand and supply, right? It's like anywhere.
And I think there's a huge property boom happening here in terms of builds and things like that. So I think there is going to be the supply, but it's all happened in the last 12 to 18 months. So it's all just finishing. So my hope is that by the end of the year, there's going to be more supply than demand, and we're all going to have great villas again.
And also, like from a business perspective, it's a really exciting time for investment. There's a lot of opportunity here. And the opportunity that used to exist in Australia when it came to property, that's here. And if you can jump on that and be smart about it, then you can make a lot of money. And if that's something that, you're interested in doing or looking at doing, then why not?
For sure.
As long as you figure out those grey areas.
For sure. Which we'll get to. We'll get to one day.
Definitely. You can't have a second property that takes, 3 years.
Could you imagine?
Imagine when the Bali property is just like, easy, it's done, it's built, and you're like, I came to
Perth
Bali.
property's done.
Yeah.
I'm 80.
Yeah.
I'm in my Bali
But
villa.
you've got 10 Bali villas that went up in like a year.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. No, it's been a journey. Look, we've learned a lot.
Yeah.
And what about when it comes to cost of living here? How have you found it from your experience coming over at this time? Have you found it cheaper, more expensive?
I'll be completely honest with you. It costs more for us to live in Bali.
Yeah.
But what we can get for our money and our lifestyle, I think the value is better.
Yeah.
For us to be in Perth, to be both working full-time, which would require Carlo to be in daycare. Also, we would have no social life at all. Will cost us this, in a 2-bedroom apartment, will cost us the same as being in a 5-bedroom villa here. Carlo's in daycare whenever we want him to be.
Yeah.
We have a nanny. We have a full-time housekeeper. We order food delivery for pretty much every meal because it's cheaper than doing a grocery shop. So for convenience wise, I guess we don't have a car here, but Gojek's so cheap and easy and reliable to use.
Mm-hmm.
What else? We have 2 date nights a week.
Yeah.
We had like 1 date night in 2 years in Australia.
Yeah.
So for like our relationship, that's been really nice.
Yeah.
I just think what we could get for our money here is so much more.
Yeah. But I think that's an important distinguishment because people think, oh, I'm going to come over here and I don't really need to earn a lot of money. And I can still live that life of being in a villa and going out on date nights. But you really can't.
I mean, if you want to do it in Ahmed, go for it.
Yeah.
When we were in Ahmed, we were staying in a 1-bedroom villa in a hotel.
Yeah.
That was like $80 a night.
Yeah.
But we're in Ahmed.
Yeah.
So it's
Where are you
that
going on date
proximity.
night?
Yeah, totally. We were going to the resort restaurant.
Yeah.
Which was still lovely.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
I'm sure after a year of doing that, it get repetitive, you know?
But I always find that when people come to us because we get asked all the time, as I'm sure you've started to get asked, is like people who then start to get interested when they see you're living here. And I say the same thing. I'm like, you can come over here and live on way less than you live in Australia, but you're not going to live the life that you're seeing us live in a villa and having a housekeeper and going out to the beach clubs and going like that does cost money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And even like all the restaurants, and there are places that cost the same as home.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, I gotta stop saying home. It's not my home.
Original home.
Or you can go to the cheap little warungs, like,
and which cost you nothing.
Which cost you nothing. And there's obviously a huge variety. So really, it's just pick the lifestyle that you want to live.
Yeah.
And if you want to live this lifestyle, there's going to be associated costs.
Yeah.
If you're happy to live a more basic lifestyle, then you can probably do it cheap.
Yeah.
But there's going to be some sacrifices in terms of location and where you're going and what you're doing, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We say the same thing. It costs more for us to live here than it does in Australia, but I mean, we outsource everything.
Yeah, totally.
And
quality of life.
Yeah. And so everyone's happy. We get the date nights. We get time with the kids.
Yeah.
We get people like, you know, driving around here can be really hard with little ones. So we have a driver.
And,
totally.
You know, and that all sounds crazy to people sitting at home in Australia because the cost of that would be astronomical.
Yeah.
But here
it's more affordable.
Yeah, it's more affordable.
And do you find, sorry, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
All right, welcome to my podcast. But I've noticed some like little digs from people back in Australia, little comments about those sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, all right, well, if I was to buy my $150,000 Mercedes that I had in Australia and have it here and try and drive it, I'd probably get 20 meters down the road
and it'd be scratched
on
both
either side. Do you find that you get the little digs and the little comments as well?
But I haven't seen it so much in my circle, but I've seen it happen to friends who come here, and I think it will disappear. I think that's kind of a natural human thing sometimes when people see you when people see you doing that and they're like, oh, you're always on holidays or you're always doing this and doing that. And it can be when you're working a different job in a different kind of industry and people, they look at
you, because your job does look like you're on holidays all the time, even though I know you're not, and all you would like to do is sit at home and watch Netflix.
My job is actually being a professional holidayer. So.
Yes. I send one email a week. Don't worry. People say I send one email a week because my membership is a weekly email.
Yeah.
I'm like, that would be the dream.
So people don't see that, but I think that's part of the beauty of it, right? Like, you know that living here, it's not all roses. It does become a normal life, and you have so as much as you love all those extra things, the help and things you get here, there are different pressures that you have.
There's sacrifices that come with living a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
And most of the time the sacrifices aren't things that a YouTube channel is created around.
Yes.
People don't see that until they're here and living it and dealing with it. And the healthcare and anything like that. Yeah. That's obviously something in Australia that people take for granted. Yeah. But again, choose your heart, choose your easy, right. choose based on your value system and what's important to you.
Yeah. And it's certainly not a lifestyle for everyone.
No.
Like if you can't handle a little bit of disorganization or waiting, it's definitely not an island for you to live on.
No. If traffic bothers you, move somewhere else.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If you don't like the heat, probably.
Not a
if
good
you don't like being sweaty.
It's not going to be for you. I saw a TikTok and it said like in Bali, no matter how much you shower, you always feel dirty. It's so true.
So true.
So true. You do. But also it's so nice to be warm year round.
Yeah.
Like,
especially
how nice
now, like my mum's here at the moment and she's like, how nice is it just to know that like in Melbourne, they're freezing.
Your mum's sitting in the
Your
pool.
mum's just reveling.
Yeah, she is.
She's reveling in the weather.
So funny.
Yeah. Look, I think nowhere's perfect.
Yeah.
And nowhere is the Instagram feed that Instagram makes everywhere look.
Yeah.
And you've just, you've got to choose what perfect means to you.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. Now we do have a last question for you, Brooke, and that is, what advice would you give to other people who may be thinking they may have an online business too, and they might think, I can do what Brooke did and I can go and live in Bali and run my business from here. What are the things, what are your hindsight suggestions?
Oh, what are my hindsight suggestions? Do it, firstly.
Right.
This is the way I look at it, and Dom and I say this all the time. We know how to do Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming and doing something risky is always going to be an adventure. It's got to teach you something.
Yeah.
It's got to push you out of your comfort zone. I very much believe that you do grow when you're put in situations that you don't know about. However, sort your living situation first.
Yeah.
Sort your visas. Figure out where you're going to work. Download Gojek. Connect your credit card while you're still in Australia and can get the stupid fucking PIN codes to your Australian mobile number.
Yeah.
Do that. Nor it.
My cure for any belly situations
Nor it.
in Bali. You buy Nor it as soon as you land.
I wish I knew about Nor it sooner. What else?
Know how to access your money probably without it costing you a fortune.
ATMs, they spit your card out after your money
The reverse.
comes.
Yep.
Very important. We've lost 2 bank cards.
They're actually
since we've
making
been
a
here.
TikTok for Bali Buddies on that.
Yes.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
As like one of our top tips is the card comes
The
out
card,
last.
yep, that's a big one.
These
all
are the best
practical
tips.
things.
They're so practical.
Doors locked twice.
Oh yes, you got to flick the
I feel like
key
that's
twice.
something more people need to know.
Okay, I'll put that on the
Doors
TikTok.
locked twice. That feels important. What else? Soto more people need to know about that. It's the best chicken soup in the world.
Yeah, that's my go-to when
It's good.
after the Norrit has cleared any belly situations.
Yeah.
It's sort of a
What else? That's probably it. Coffee is going to cost you the same as at home or more, but it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are they even practical
I
tips?
think they're very practical tips.
Very practical.
I think that there are important issues, especially the door locking twice. Nobody's actually brought that one up.
Oh,
so,
No, but
you
the
know.
cards too. Like, I
Yeah.
think we've all lost
The
cards
ATM thing.
running out.
Yeah, everybody's
grabbing
lost
Set
cash.
up multiple bank accounts in Australia, because if we didn't have multiple,
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
you just need a backup account you can transfer
My
money
other
to
tip
the card.
is make sure your bank will send you cards overseas.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of Australian banks that will only send your cards to your home address.
See, I
And
haven't
then you
figured
have
out
to
the mail
try
thing.
and so then you
Yeah.
have to try and you either have to get someone to DHL them over here, and DHL don't love bringing over bank cards,
Yeah,
or you
right.
have to ring around and put the call out,
Get
like, who's
someone to
coming on
bring it.
holidays, and bring
Yeah, right.
But my new card, the Revolut card, they will send anywhere in the world, so within 3 days.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I might I feel like our bank accounts are our last thing that we're kind of like, what
Yeah,
do we
it
do?
does take time.
Yeah.
The bank thing does take
The
time.
bank
The
thing.
bank thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because you're making all your money in Australia, you're getting paid in Australia.
Yeah.
So it's then
We're still Australian citizens and we're
Yes.
still Australian residents,
Yeah.
and we're still paying tax in
it.
Australia.
Yeah.
So until we figure out long term what we're going to do, then it just makes sense for us to have those cards and stuff over there. I guess as well, like the whole mail thing, like I said.
yeah,
That's
that's
really tricky.
That
That
is
out
annoying and it's expensive.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I've heard.
And also getting stuff sent over here, they will you
get
just would
taxed,
never do
right?
it. You get
Yeah.
taxed.
Yeah.
You get taxed 40%.
I still just get it shipped to Australia and get someone to bring it.
yeah.
That's
I think
what
it's
do
the
too.
safest
Yeah.
and it's
Or
the
go
cheapest
back and
yeah,
get it.
easiest.
Yeah.
It's probably cheaper for you to fly back, get it, and bring it all back.
Yeah, that's right. And
Yeah.
go and, you know,
Unless
stock
you're
up
using
on-
Tokopedia or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Tokopedia and
Yeah.
Shopee are the best.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, you can get anything on there, but yeah, definitely the mail thing is difficult for everyone.
Yeah, it's all those
continuously.
little things that you take for granted again in Australia because they work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody else deals with it and it just
Yeah.
works. But really, do you know how it works? No. And until you don't have it, you're like, oh, how do I do that?
Yes.
How do I do
My
that in another
credit-
country?
One of my credit cards got scammed last year when we were in Thailand, actually, and we found out once we got back here. And then trying to get the new ones sent over here. So finally, the company agreed that they would send it to Bali. But I said to them, you have to send it DHL and you have to put my phone number on it. And they just kept not doing that. So I was like, yeah, it hasn't arrived again. Hasn't. So by the fourth time they did it and it arrived. And then a month later, I received 3 credit cards on the same day. So they
Oh,
eventually
no.
turned up. But it was 6 months after
Where
the
were
first
they?
one. Oh, probably just stuck in the mail.
Sitting
somewhere.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
found me eventually with no phone number. But yeah, the guy knocks on my door and I open it up and he's like, yeah, Miss Karlie. And I was like, 3 credit cards? That was sent 6 months ago.
Wow.
Excellent. They're all being
Nice.
cancelled. Cut them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So mail doesn't really work.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It does if it's DHL, but it's dear as poison.
Yeah.
Dear as poison. At least $100 for one card.
Yeah, yikes.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, Brooke, it's been great having your little insight here. We're going to put all of the links to the social club and your Instagram in the show notes. So if you're wanting to learn about how to grow on Instagram, you need to go check out Brooke's account, and just for general funny life
Amazing
stories.
stories.
Just
Yeah.
me getting attacked by bats and butterflies and an assault. Oh, that's probably another thing. There's bats here.
Yeah.
They're not butterflies. They're bats.
They're not butterflies.
They're bats.
And they're really annoying if you have an open style villa and they
Yeah.
start to nest up the
Yeah.
top. Yeah, that's something that Instagram never tells you about, is the bats
Yeah.
living in your roof sometimes.
Or
And the
any of
rats.
the animals living in your villa.
The bats, the rats, the geckos, the bugs. Try and get somewhere with an enclosed kitchen.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Enclosed
Yeah.
living.
Open plan living is fun for like a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a
Definitely not
holiday.
for life.
Yeah, definitely
Definitely
not for life.
Definitely not for life.
No.
Get the clothes villa.
Well, that can be your Bali tip.
Yeah, that's
well,
my
this is
tip.
your tip.
Bali
Yes.
Don't live long term in an open style villa.
No,
There we
you
go.
will regret it. Or get used to living with rats.
Yeah.
Unless you love rodents.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
love rodents, it's a lot.
If you're a rat guy
Yeah.
or girl,
Yeah.
there's for
for
you.
you. But if not, get yourself a closed villa. Well, thanks heaps, Brooke, and we look forward to watching your adventures. And everybody can watch her over the next couple of years and see if her Bali house gets built before her Perth house gets finished.
We're actually thinking of starting a YouTube channel purely to document it for our parents. so they can watch what we're doing.
This is what's happening in Perth.
Yeah, because nothing is happening in Perth. There would be 3 videos on the YouTube channel in 4 years. But we're actually quite looking forward to documenting the Bali process of it all.
Yeah.
Just to say, here, Dad, watch this.
Yeah.
Because my dad's not going to go on. My dad thinks I'm friends with Mark Zuckerberg. It's quite cute.
Oh, because you're on Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But I can send him a link to a YouTube video.
Right, and he'll watch that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Brooke. We're looking forward to watching it all unfold.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that was fun.
She is super fun. Earmuffs for a little bit of the swearing, sorry, but that is on theme for Brooke.
Yeah.
You can follow her along on her Instagram for more of her fun and funny stories. I'd actually been following Brooke for a while on Instagram for Instagram tips. When I saw she moved to Bali. Yeah. So that's how I got to meet Brooke.
Oh, she's a legend, and I think some great personal stories, great tips, plenty of great tips.
And just a fun and funny insight into the life of different people calling Bali home. So once again, if you've got someone that you would like us to interview on the podcast, please message us because we're always looking for great guests. And we will have another Bali Insiders Tips episode coming up soon. So if you have Bali questions, that's where we answer all of those. On there. So on our socials, you can comment on there, like and subscribe to our YouTube.
And check out the show notes. Did you say that?
Yes. On the show notes, we've got all of Brooke's links. So if you want to learn more about her social club, that is where you can do it. So until next episode, bye.